I have bought 27 of the greatest PlayStation accessories ever made, and in this video, we are going to test every single one of them. So let's first start with this pretty big one, which is a custom controller for Street Fighter. So it's actually been quite a long time since I've played a Street Fighter game, and I've never actually played it with one of these old-fashioned joystick controllers, like the fight sticks. Wow, that's way bigger than I thought.
That's what she said.
But seeing as though the brand new Street Fighter just came out on the PS5, I thought this provided an awesome opportunity to try this thing out. The fight stick controller for Street Fighter makes this game like 1,000 times more fun. Inspired by an arcade machine, you have a joystick combined with these flat high-speed buttons, which are also very easy to customize at the back because you can switch out the wiring and change and mod the buttons if you so desire. There are also some modern features on the controller, such as a headphone jack and also a PlayStation touchpad, and it does work on the PS4, PS5, and also the PC. And on the PC, there is an app that lets you create custom controller profiles. I found it way easier to trigger combos and also remember the various different button combos available to me with my character. And this resulted in me winning more matches and also being much more competitive in the fights. A much smaller PlayStation controller is the recently released PlayStation Edge. This was their new Pro Controller. It's basically essentially like an Xbox Series Elite 2 style gamepad. You got the ability to switch out all of the little back paddles, and you also have got the adjustable thumbsticks that you can change out to different shapes and sizes. But probably my favorite feature of this controller are the adjustable triggers for playing FPS shooters. But in addition to this, it's actually the aesthetics of it. Like the way this thing lights up with the touchpad bars, with these blue bars down the side, just looks much more aggressive than a regular PlayStation controller. This also combined with the black buttons, it all just looks really nice. Furthermore, this Pro Controller does also have profiles, so you can set up custom button mappings for various different games, and you can switch between these profiles super easily on the fly by just literally holding down the function button and then the corresponding square, triangle, or whatever with whichever profile you want. And another unique feature of this controller are the swappable thumbstick modules. So on the back of this pad, there is a little release button here that lets you take off this top cover, and underneath here you can switch out the different thumbstick modules if you ever experience things such as stick drift or you accidentally damage one of them. So you don't have to spend like another $200 odd on a PS Edge controller. You can just literally switch out that module for about $20 instead. Since its release earlier this year, this has become my go-to controller for every game that I play on my PlayStation 5. And if you do want to see my full review of all of its different features and the accessories that come included, you should check out the full video here. But next, we've got this. I'm so excited for this. This thing is so heavy though. So, next up, we have got the latest and greatest steering wheel from Logitech. This is the G Pro Wheel, and it's a direct drive steering wheel. This Pro Wheel is absolutely crazy. It's the next step up from the highly popular Logitech G920, G27, and G29 wheels. But what makes this stand out is not the large price of $1,000, but the fact that this wheel is direct drive, making the force feedback significantly stronger at 11 Newton meters of total force, along with near zero input delay and latency, providing a much more realistic driving experience. And to see how realistic, I jumped into GT7 on the PS5 and tested a Ford Focus RS, which is the car that I drive in real life. I even got it in the same color to make this test super fair. Then to level things up, I put the PSVR2 headset on, which looked like a one-to-one recreation of my actual car interior, and I proceeded to then change various wheel settings to see if I could match the weight of the wheel to match what my brain is used to in the real car that I drive. And oh my word, for the first time ever in a racing game, I had a steering wheel that felt super close to the real thing. This then combined with Logitech's True Force technology, which adds further vibration details to the wheel, such as like engine effects, I was completely sold. My only complaint with the G wheel was the initial installation process on my racing sim. For some reason, I couldn't really get the holes to line up correctly, and I had to draw a template to try and help. But a few positive side notes are the incredible build quality. The wheel rim is made out of real leather that feels great in your hands, and it also works straight out of the box with GT7. There was no need for me to map loads of buttons and also alter the dead zone of the wheel to make it line up with the in-game car, which was a pleasant surprise as the Fanatec DD Pro, which is the official racing wheel for GT7, required me to mess around for hours tuning it to actually work properly with the game. For a more budget option if you love racing games are the Logitech G920 and G923. These range from between £230 to £300 depending on the bundles and also the time of year that you're purchasing it, because I've seen this thing as low as £150 in an Amazon Black Friday deal. Overall, these are fantastic entry-level wheels and even mid-range options. Because they have pretty strong force force feedback, respond very well with quite accurate input, and the pedal set included has a clutch pedal which works great with the optional gear stick. And probably the coolest feature is the LED rev light on the wheel that responds to the in-game cars. And just like the Pro Wheel, the G923 has True Force technology and also a real leather steering wheel, so a pretty solid option if you're wanting to start taking racing games much more seriously. A brilliant accessory to pair with any type of steering wheel is the PlayStation VR2. Obviously, this headset is fantastic with all the different genres of virtual reality games, including the Horizon Call of the Mountains, and a few other notable launch titles that were released alongside this headset. But by far, probably one of the best experiences on the PS5 that you can have inside of the PSVR2 is Gran Turismo 7. This is one of the most breathtaking car games that you can play in a VR headset. Graphically, it looks impressive, but more importantly, the ease of use, just setting it up is super easy compared to trying to play like a racing game with a steering wheel and VR headset on PC. You just plug this straight into your console with a Type-C connection. You literally have it running, it's as easy as that. And for the price range, the PSVR2 is an incredibly high-spec piece of tech. It has OLED screens inside of this thing. They just look awesome, the displays. The only thing that I'm not too keen on is the face cover. I don't mind the head strap, but I just wish there was a little bit more going on rather than this super cheap, like, thin rubber cover that you have here. It just isn't great. Next, I'd like to take a look at some other Pro controllers, but these are different alternatives than getting the official PlayStation Edge. Firstly, let's take a look at this Razer one. This is actually $50 more expensive than the PlayStation Edge, the official one by Sony, so it better be good. So this is the Wolverine Pro V2, and it's definitely more orientated around FPS shooters, but it does work very well with fighting games because of this D-pad. You see how it's got this like multiple click points? It's like 8-way D-pad or something like that. It's very sensitive for you triggering things, which is quite nice, which is obviously ideal for fighting games. But where it's more orientated around FPS shooters are obviously the adjustable triggers at the back and also these rear paddle buttons, which are better than on the PlayStation Edge because you do get 4 of them instead of just 2. And one of the most hardcore features are the styles of buttons that are on this controller. So they're not like traditional controller buttons, they're actually like mouse style clicks, so they've got incredibly fast response time. But by far, probably the coolest feature are the Chroma RGB. Obviously, with this being a Razer product, it's got to have it over-the-top RGB effects. Now, one could argue these RGB effects are a little bit pointless because when the controller is turned on, your palms will cover up the lights, but hey, it's Razer. And just like with most Pro controllers, the thumbsticks are interchangeable, so you can switch those out for different styles. For any Xbox gamers out there who do also have a PlayStation, for some of the exclusives, you'll also love the layout of this Razer controller because it's very similar to your Xbox gamepad and it'll feel nice and comfortable. But this next controller, you could sort of say is the world's fastest PlayStation controller. It's made by a company called Victrix, and they make the fastest Xbox controller in the world, and this is their PlayStation version of that style of gamepad. Come on. Oh, why is the box has so much friction? I don't get why product boxes are like this. They make them meant to be like opening slow for like anticipation. Like, that's what Apple do. But it just never opens. Come on. There we go, we're in. I can calm down now. So this has a carry case. Oh, interestingly, yeah, the Razer one didn't come with a carry case. That's a bit rubbish, actually. For $250, it doesn't have a carry case. This one does. This has a carry case, and this is actually cheaper than the PlayStation Edge, sort of around $130, something like that, if I remember correctly. I actually really like how comfortable these Victrix pads are. And there's just something about them that feels amazing. Like, got nice grips on the front here, but they just feel really lightweight and just to the point. On the back, we have our paddles. These paddles are super similar to an Xbox Series Elite 2 pad. They fall perfectly for your hands down here. But this isn't the most groundbreaking feature of these. It's actually the interchangeable modules. So you get this little screwdriver included in the box that lets you switch out these different areas and modules on the pad. And this is a perfect one for anyone playing Street Fighter or them styles of fighting games. So you can pop this onto your controller like here, and then you'll be able to have super fast like response time for when you're button mashing and stuff. Now, this controller is multi-platform. It doesn't just work on the PS5, it's also compatible with the PS4 and also on PC. When you do also connect it to your PC, it does have its own like controller management software where you can go in and customize, remap, do loads of different stuff with the thumbsticks, so you can sort of like really fine-tune it to your style of playing. And the way you select which platform you want to use this on is just with this little selection switch at the back, and you can just scroll through PC, PS4, and PS5. Next, I want to take a look at a couple different PlayStation console covers, but not the cliche ones that you would think of, one that has a screen attached to it. So this accessory is super duper cool. It's from a brand called G Story, and I've purchased these in the past before, but for the Xbox. So the version for the Xbox looks unbelievable, especially on the Xbox Series S. It's really small and compact and essentially turns the Series S into like a portable gaming laptop. It's very, very good. It matches perfectly with that console. And then there's also one available for the Xbox Series X that's actually a 4K display, but obviously the Xbox Series X is a much bigger console, so it sort of destroys that portability advantage that the Series S version has. And this is a similar style of screen, but for your PS5. And just like the Xbox Series X version, this thing is 4K too. Oh, it actually looks like a PlayStation. Look at that. That's quite tiny. So I'm guessing if we just literally pop that off, it will just attach straight in. That was so easy. And then just like that, we've got our PS5. That's amazing. Oh, and the console's closed. It looks as like we've got 1.5 PlayStations. So this display does support multiple different inputs, so it can output at 4K 60 and also 4K 30. So you can connect two different devices to this if you so desired. Included in the box is also a remote control, so you can change the input sources and also control the speakers that are also built into this display. And they do the job. They sound okay. Also included in the box is this little custom stand too, so the console doesn't do that while you're gaming. You can attach these to both ends and it should stabilize it. But some slightly more traditional console covers that you can pick up are these official ones from Sony. They just let you change the color of your console. These ones here are the purple ones that I picked up last summer. They look okay. My only complaint with the official ones is they all look great, but they're like a different compound of plastic to the ones that actually come on your console. They're like more of this like matte plastic, and they pick up fingerprints super easy. It's the same on the purple ones and also the black ones that I have, the official Sony ones. Whereas the ones that come on the console are like I wouldn't say a glossy plastic, but like a shiny plastic. So they don't pick up any fingerprints, but these ones do, and it's a little bit annoying. However, regardless of this minor issue, I do love the fact that Sony have added these custom color console covers to this generation of console, as it lets you customize your setup and make it unique. Now, these do cost around $55, so there is always the option of literally like spray painting your console. But do remember, obviously, if you spray paint it, you're never going to be able to have the white console covers back ever again. But switching our focus back to our portable PlayStation 5, if you do literally want to take this thing on the go, then there's this awesome carry case that you can pick up that's also made by G Story, who make the screen. And it provides the ability for you to obviously travel with this console nice and safely. It fits in perfectly, and then you can zip it all back up, and then you can throw your accessories inside of there, and you've almost got like a briefcase, like a soft briefcase, obviously, to carry your console in if you want to take it to a hotel for work or like a school trip or something. And just like with the Xbox version of this carry case, it comes with like this silicone cover for your PlayStation controller. If you want that to protect it, I don't know, but I personally wouldn't use it. Just think it'd make your hands dead sweaty and sticky, so probably throw that in the bin. Essentially, this carry case is like a laptop bag for your PlayStation. It's well designed. It's got loads of places for you to also put the cables inside of the bag, and it facilitates the job for around $40. Probably the biggest complaint of all of the next generation consoles is the lack of storage space for you to install all of your games. Now right here, I've got two different solutions for you, specifically for the PlayStation 5, but this one right here does also work on the PS4. Let's first start with the more expensive option, which is this 2TB official NVMe drive. Basically, what you do is you take your console covers of your PS5, and this will reveal this little metal cover. You remove the screw of this cover. Here you have an additional port to plug in an NVMe SSD drive. Now you can pick up the NVMe drives for a variety of different prices. So it's sort of around $100. You could maybe get like quite a decent one, but you put the heatsink on yourself. But this is the official Sony one, so it's got a little bit of a premium on there, around like $60. And this just plugs straight into that little port on the console. And what it will do is it will add an additional 2TB in this instance, because we've got the 2TB drive, to your available storage space. So obviously the console already comes with roughly a 1TB drive, something around 697 gigabytes of usable space. And then when you add this drive into there, you're adding an additional 2TB on top of that. So it's not like you're replacing the current drive inside of the console. It's an additional whatever space you buy. Once the drive has been plugged in, the console will boot up, and you'll literally just need to format this SSD drive and then choose it as the new storage location for your games, and you're up and running. It isn't too difficult. It's just it takes a little bit of time to take the console apart, plug it in. It's much slower than the Xbox Sega expansion card that you just literally slot into the console, turn it on, and it's done. You've got to do a bit of DIY. Now, if those NVMe SSD drives are a little bit out of your price range because they are expensive, around $150 to $200, this option right here is around $60, $69, and it's the PlayStation 5 game drive. We've got a song there, a little bit of a rhyme going there. The PlayStation 5 game drive. The PlayStation 5 game drive. The PlayStation 5 game drive. This is a good old 2TB external hard drive. It works on the PS5 and also the PS4, and you can use it for obviously installing all of your games on there. It will run much slower than an external SSD, but it does the job. You can play all of your PS4 games off of there, and you'll be able to just expand the storage of your console. But if you're using this in conjunction with your PlayStation 5, then you want to use this more of a mass storage area, so you can use it for your old PS4 games. If you want to play any next generation games off of this, you'll just use this as basically mass storage. So you might have something like Ratchet & Clank on here, the new one, and you just transfer the game files off of this drive onto your PS5, and then when you don't want to play it, you transfer it back onto this drive, which is a little bit, time consuming, but it's not the end of the world. While our focus is on official PlayStation products, let's take a look at two that launched alongside the PlayStation 5. This includes both the Media Remote and also the charging dock for the DualSense controllers. So the charging station is okay at around £24, roughly $30 in the USA, and basically you just throw your controller on there and it will charge it via the front ports. But my biggest complaint about it is the fact that it doesn't really grip the controllers, so if you slightly knock the charging station, the controllers easily fall off. And some much cheaper alternatives that we've looked at on this channel, which are sort of fake ones from various Chinese brands, actually have a slightly better design, albeit they're a little bit bigger. The only cool thing about the official PlayStation 5 one is that it does look like a super mini PlayStation, so you can tell it's had a little bit more thought given into the actual visual elements of this, so it all ties in nicely with all the other official products. Now, obviously the Media Remote is kind of redundant in modern times because you can use things such as HDMI CEC, so your actual television remote, you can use that to control your PlayStation. But something quite cool that it does do is it quick launches the apps on the PlayStation console, the media apps for YouTube, Netflix, and Disney+. Also, a little hidden feature, if you turn your PlayStation on with the Media Remote, instead of it taking you to your game tab when you turn the console on like normal, it will actually take you by default to the media tab. So it just boots up the console slightly differently to save you a couple of seconds. So this next one's quite an interesting one. It's called the Backbone One. It's basically like a portable controller for you to take your PlayStation Remote Play on the go. So this works with the iPhone only. It's an Apple only product, and the overall design of it's very, very nice. So you can see right here, it looks just like sort of that whole PS5 vibe. They've nailed that. And then you just literally extend it out and your iPhone will just slot in like so. And from here, you can obviously install the PlayStation Remote Play app on your iPhone, then connect it up with your console, and like via your internet connection, you can then play your games at the comfort of your sofa. So this is ideal if anybody's like using the main TV. If you've only got like a main TV in your living room and someone's watching a terrible TV show, you can just boot up your console on Remote Play and play a little bit on the Backbone. But the best part is this doesn't just work with PlayStation Remote Play, it's also compatible with Xbox Game Pass and a huge variety of games within the Apple Arcade. So if you're an active subscription to Apple Arcade, it's something like $4.99 a month. I had it for a little while last year. You can play things such as like NBA and all those different games that are inside of that subscription with this controller. So instead of connecting like a Bluetooth controller, so that's pretty nice too. So if you haven't got an amazing internet connection and you're still traveling, you can get the most out of this little add-on. I think the Backbone One has a far better build quality than the Razer Kraken alternatives, and at around $90, $100, like £90, it isn't too bad of an option, especially if you like gaming on your phone. Next, let's take a look at some various different lighting effects and mods that you can combine with your PlayStation, and this is the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and also just your desk. First up, we've got this $12 desk light that just looks awesome. It's a brilliant price, and it has a couple of different lighting effects, and it's a nice way to add that little bit of PlayStation vibe to your overall setup. But for the more adventurous people out there, we actually have some RGB light mods that you can combine with things such as the PS4 Pro and also the PlayStation 5 itself. Now, I had these fitted on my PlayStation 5 for quite a while. They cost around sort of $25, and they add various different lighting effects. You can change them with a controller onto the console, and they're powered via the USB ports at the back. But I recently found the exact same set and kit, but for the PS4 Pro. So you can see inside this little bag, you get these little strip lights of RGB, and they're basically just like two-sided sticky tape, and you just literally stick them onto the console in the designated regions. Then you throw it into the back of the USB port, and you've got all these other stuff such as the controller to change the effects. And as you can see from these images, the final results look absolutely awesome and not bad for around sort of like $25, $30. Now let's switch our focus to a completely different category, and that is audio. Picking the perfect gaming headset is super important for both the comfort of your gaming sessions, but also how much you enjoy playing your games from the immersion levels of the high quality audio. Now, released this time last last year, Sony came out with their own new range of headphones and also gaming monitors with the InZone range. They've got the InZone H3s, H7s, and H9s. Now, I actually own the H9s, and those were my predominant primary gaming headset for my PS5 for a good 6, 7, 8 months. And those have all of the high-end features found inside of there, such as the spatial audio, the noise cancellation, but also a pretty awful quality microphone. This is the type of mic quality that you can expect to get from the InZone H9. Now, the H3s is the cheapest in that entire product line, and it retains a lot of the high-end features. It still has its own PC app, so you can customize the different audio and EQing of that. Very good, the PC app. I enjoyed using that. And these only cost around sort of $70 instead of like $200 for the H9s. Obviously, there are a few drawbacks with the cheaper price. The first being that this is a wired headset instead of wireless, but they are still a pretty solid option for that like mid-range to high-range headphone purchase. But if you are going to be going for the H9s, I wouldn't actually recommend purchasing those. Now, I no longer use the H9s because I spent around $200 on a PlayStation-only headset. Yes, of course, it also has a Bluetooth, but that's not really much use. I'm not using these for listening to music. And then I spent an additional $90 on my Xbox gaming headset. So all in, I'd spent around $290, $300 on 2 separate pairs of headphones. Whereas more recently, I picked up these Astro A30s for around $210, which work on every single platform and actually have way better features. So this one single headset works on my Xbox, PlayStation. It also has Bluetooth dual connectivity, so I can listen to music at the same time as gaming or have a phone call on here at the same time as gaming on my console, which I have actually used in a recent live stream with a friend because we were having issues with hearing each other inside of the live stream software. So I had these headphones on, had them on FaceTime, worked awesome. And then because I'm just using one single pair of headphones, it means I get used to the sound profile in the headset, because when you're constantly switching between different headsets and you're playing like competitive like FPS games and stuff, the sound profile is constantly changing. So like when you're hearing different footsteps and things like that, it sounds different in each headphones. Whereas when you're using this exact same one on all of your different devices, your PC, your Xbox, and also your PlayStation, you get really accustomed to the sound profile on those headphones that are your go-to choice. And then also the Astro A30s do also have the ability to control the mix levels between your gameplay and also the chat volume while you're playing. This is also present on the official Xbox headset, but it's awesome that it's on here too, because a lot of other Pro headsets don't have that feature available. Next, we've got something quite interesting, which is the fake PlayStation 5, which is actually called the GS5, which stands for Game Station 5, which is an absolutely hilarious name ripoff. Now, as you can see, the GS5 is absolutely tiny compared to the real console. It cost me around, I think it was like $37 if I remember correctly, when I picked this up last year. And of course, it doesn't play any next generation titles, just look at the size of this thing. But included on it are hundreds of game emulations. So there's actually some half decent games on here that you can emulate and play on your television, and it comes included with 2 different controllers, so you can play 2-player. It even has all of the little details, such as its own vertical stand, which the PlayStation 5 also has, and you can just obviously clip it on into place. And even if you don't want to use this for playing video games on, you can just use it as a desk accessory. It actually looks really cool next to that PlayStation desk light that I showed you earlier. We're now getting down to our final few accessories that are all pretty cheap. And by the way, all of these products are linked down below in the description if you want to check them out. It helps support the channel if you purchase through those links. And it's also a super convenient way for you to see everything featured in this video without having to go to Google and type in, you know, blah, 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 PlayStation accessory, blah, blah, blah. The first thing I want to show you are these PlayStation 5 console stickers. If you don't want to purchase new PS5 console covers, you can actually rewrap them with these little sticky 2-sided decals. And the one I've purchased in particular are these Spider-Man ones, because obviously we've got the new Spider-Man game coming out later this year. So I thought, why don't we make a bit of a Spider-Man themed console? Now, these console stickers are trying to replicate the limited edition PS4 consoles, both the PS4 Slim and PS4 Pro. They do an okay job of doing so. But these 2 accessories here will definitely help level it up. The first one is a controller holder. Now, you'll recognize these controller holders from in the past here on the channel. They're made by Cable Guys. We've done loads of these before. We've got the Master Chief one, we've got the Call of Duty Ghost one, and people go crazy for them. You love them when I show you them, and they're always linked in the description. People always say, where do I get those from? You'll find it linked down below. This time, we're taking a look at the Spider-Man one, which is actually pretty tidy. I'm loving it. So these usually cost around $18. It depends on which one you get, because they've all got different licensing agreements on them, so I'm sure that always affects the price. But the detail on them are unbelievable. Like, just look at Spider-Man, for example, here. You've got like actual grooves in his suit. It's not just like being painted. It's actually got like a bit of a texture to the whole style. And then of course, we've got all the rocks down here, like Call of Duty Ghost, it's got 3D rocks. And then the controller just literally pops itself on here, and it fits perfectly. But to also level up our Spider-Man themed console, I found this little Spider-Man cover on Etsy. Now this has been 3D printed by somebody and they've done a fantastic job considering how complex the design is. They've cleaned it up very nicely. And you can order this in a few different colors like red, blue, or whatever, but I went for this silver one so it contrasts nice with the red console stickers. And essentially the way this is going to be installed on the final console is just by sliding down the middle part here, then with like a bit of friction it will just sort of wedge into place. And if we then also combine this with the RGB lights that we talked about earlier, it'll have a nice cool effect shining through the Spider-Man logos. Now another thing that I purchased on Etsy was meant to be this custom controller sticker. So you see here, you can print on your own custom design and it would attach onto the back of the PS4 controller. However, this thing was quite cheap. It's like $3, and if they'd have done it right, it would have looked cool, but it appears like they haven't printed it correctly, because when you peel the sticker off, it peels off the whole grid with it. You see how we've got that grid there? It would cover up the back of the PS4 controller, as you see, just like that. And when you turn it on, it would illuminate your name. Look how cool it looks. Got it. Look at that. Ben.
Actually, it's good news. I've managed to get the sticker on the controller to work. It turns out that you had to leave the sticker on for like quite a long time for it to set on the back of the controller, and then it just peeled itself off super easily, and now we've got this super cool logo on the back. I'm quite happy. Definitely worth it.
Final and most coolest PlayStation accessory that I have to show you in this video is this official PlayStation Lego set for Horizon Forbidden West. Obviously, everybody loves Lego, so you can't go wrong with this purchase, and considering it's only around $60, it isn't too badly priced. It resembles a tall neck that's found inside of the video games, and you also get the minifigure of Aloy, which is the main character that you play as within the PlayStation title. It looks fantastic on the shelves in my studio. It's a good height to where it looks impressive when people actually see it, and it has enough little details and subtle hints at the video game that any fan of this Sony title will go absolutely crazy when they're building it. These have been some of the coolest PlayStation accessories that you can buy, but if you want to see me unbox some of the cheapest, you should check out this video next.